Hey everybody, Aaron here from the Cool Guys Nation, and welcome to episode 4 of reviewing the new Space Marine Codex. This week we are going to take a look at some more of the vehicles, and we're going to be starting with dedicated transports. Okay, so dedicated transports are really easy. They are all exactly the same except for one sentence. It cannot carry models with the bulky, very bulky, or extremely bulky special rule. So Rhinos say that, and Razorbacks say that. Drop pods do not say that. Other than that one sentence that's different on the Rhino and the Razorback, all three of these units are the same. That, of course, brings us to the Land Speeder Storm, which is not the same. The Land Speeder Storm, first of all, is 5 points less expensive. It went from 45 points down to 40. Also, the Assault Cannon went from 20 points to 15. But that's not the big change. The big change is the Cerberus Launcher. The Cerberus Launcher used to be Strength 2, AP nothing, large blast, blind. It is now Strength 4, AP 6, large blast, blind, heavy 1. That's amazing. It can now actually do damage. Strength 4, AP 6. You can blow stuff up, and the whole unit is 5 points cheaper. That's incredible. That is so incredible. I'm really happy about it. Alright, let's talk about Dreadnoughts now. The basic Dreadnought has had a little bit of a buff. For one, instead of having 2 attacks, it now has 4 attacks. It's also had a little bit of a debuff, where its plasma cannon went from 5 points to 10 points. However, its assault cannon can now be taken for 10 points instead of 20, and its twin link glass cannon can be taken for 15 instead of 25. And that is true for both the Dreadnought and the vulnerable Dreadnought. They can also now be taken in squads from 1 to 3, but if you take more than 1, then you cannot take a drop pod as a dedicated transport. So overall, the Dreadnoughts having 4 attacks instead of 2 is a really big deal. But other than that, the basic Dreadnought and a vulnerable Dreadnought are pretty much exactly the same. Again, 2 more attacks for a total of 4, and the Dreadnought weapons, most of them got cheaper, one of them got more expensive. Now when we move on to the Ironclad Dreadnought, it has pretty much the same changes, but one additional change, and that is it gains the chapter tactics, which actually all of them gain chapter tactics as well, so that's a big deal. You can now use your chapter tactics on your Dreadnoughts. You can also take it in groups of 3, but if you do, you cannot get your drop pod for each one, and it has 4 attacks instead of 2. So pretty much the Dreadnoughts have been buffed. Their price is technically lower because you're getting more attacks, and many of the bonuses, the additional weapons that you can buy, have actually become cheaper, except for the plasma cannon, which is 5 points more. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Storm Talon gunship, and I hope that everybody is paying attention, because this unit has received game-changing buffs. This is a really big deal. At first glance, it looks like everything is the same, because its ballistic skill, its front side rear armor, its hull points are both the same. It's the same base point cost, 110 points. It comes with the same standard war gear, twin link assault cannon, twin link heavy bolter, and ceramite plating. But all of a sudden, when you start paying attention to the details, you find out this bad boy is a beast. For one, they got rid of, what is it called? Escort craft. It is no longer an escort craft, and instead it gets vectored afterburners. And vectored afterburners reads, when zooming, a Storm Talon gunship can move an additional 6 inches if it moves flat out. When hovering, a Storm Talon gunship receives +1 to its Jink cover save. So it's now jinking on a 3+. That's incredible. I mean, that's amazing. That alone, increasing its Jink and hover mode and allowing it to move much farther while zooming, is fantastic on its own, but it gets even better. If you want to upgrade it, the options for the Storm Talon gunship have become much, much cheaper. Skyhammer missile launcher was originally a 15-point upgrade. It's now a 5-point upgrade. Twin linked assault cannon, originally a 30-point upgrade. It's now a 15-point upgrade. And the Typhoon missile launcher, which used to be a 35-point upgrade, is now a 20-point upgrade, making a well-kitted Storm Talon gunship much cheaper to put on the battlefield and much more survivable because it has both the ceramite plating and the +1 jink when in hover mode. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. If you don't have one of these, you need to go out and get 2 of them, and you need to use the formation, because this is now a super cheap way to get fantastic mobility, a survivable flyer. This is a really big deal. I know that at first glance it doesn't seem like that crazy, but look, if you take 110 points and you add your Typhoon missile launcher, you're talking about 145 point craft. Now you're only talking about 130 point craft. That's 15 points, okay? And with that 15 points, you get a free las cannon. So essentially, you are getting a free twin-linked las cannon on this. The missile launcher and the twin-linked las cannon and a 3+ jink. What more could you ask for? Okay, we're going to take a look at the Storm Raven gunship. And right off the bat, I want to tell you that I have not actually fielded this model. I have it. It's still disassembled in its box. I really should put it together and play with it, but I just haven't had a chance. And therefore, I might not be understanding some of the rules for it and the significance of it. I'm looking at this and I don't see anything different. I see that they are clarifying some rules, which might be a big deal, but I'm not entirely sure. So let's just start with the stats. The stats are identical. BS4, front side, rear 12, HP 3, vehicle, flyer, hover, transport, 1 Staven, 1 Storm Raven gunship, 200 points. But when I go to the rules, it now has rewritten the transport capacity, and it's a lot more clear. So that before it said 12 models and /or 1 Dreadnought. Now it says the Storm Raven gunship can carry 2 separate units, 1 unit of up to 12 models in its cabin, plus a single Dreadnought of any type in its rear grapples. If a zooming Storm Raven gunship is wrecked or suffers a crash and burn result, the embarked Dreadnought suffers a strength 10 hit on its rear armor. If the Storm Raven gunship is hovering, the hit is strength 4 instead. The Storm Raven gunship can carry jump infantry. So it is an assault ship, which means you can put jump infantry in it, and I believe that they're bulky, so you could probably only put 6 in, although I'm a little confused about that because it says 12 models, not 12 slots, 12 models. So can you put 12 jump infantry in and assault with them right out of it, or is it only going to be 6? I'm not sure about that. It says models, so why can't you put 12 in? I mean, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know why you'd have very bulky, but anyways, it says that you can put jump infantry in it. But the big thing, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong here, because I haven't actually played with it, so I don't know. My understanding is that if your Storm Raven gunship is flying and it crashes, you lose all of the models that are in it. You lose the Dreadnought and you lose the squad. Now it seems like you may still lose the squad, but you have a chance to not lose your Dreadnought. Your Dreadnought is going to take a strength 10 hit, so essentially, I guess, yeah, on rear armor, so that's a glancing hit, it's going to take 1 hull point, and you're still going to have your Dreadnought. If it's hovering, I assume that you disembark normally. But again, I haven't actually played with this unit, so if I'm getting that wrong, please correct me. But it sounds like they are making it so that you're not scared to use it in case it gets shot down before you have a chance to disembark. But again, I'm confused about the jump infantry thing. I would assume that you could only put 6 because they're bulky, but it says 12 models. I don't know. Other than that, all of the options are the same. Its special rules are the same. Yeah, it's the same except for that clarification on the transport capacity, and maybe that's a big deal. Maybe it's not. If you've played with this ship, let me know, because I don't know if that's a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Centurion Assault Squad now. And I did just record the Centurion Devastator Squad, which I'm actually going to put after this one because I forgot to say something about it and when I recorded it, but I'm going to say it now. Centurion squads can now take Land Raiders as a dedicated transport, which means you can move them around the battlefield, you can keep them protected, and you can actually get your slow and purposeful assault squad into close combat by protecting it in a Land Raider. And that, I think, is very cool. But before you get super excited and be like, yeah, I get to take that Land Raider for free because it's part of the new battle company, no. Land Raiders, you do not get to take for free. So just stop right there. Don't do it. Don't think about it. You can't have it. Sorry. No. All right, what else is going on with these? Well, for one, they went from 190 points to 165 points, which is a pretty big deal. And for the assault squad, they did not raise any of the costs for the close combat weapons, so it is a true point reduction. Okay? They also added a veteran sergeant, which for the Devastator squad is pretty much useless. But for the assault squad, it's awesome because it has better leadership, which you need when you accidentally run away, and it has more attacks, which you need when you want to smash face. So the Centurion Assault squad at 165 points is balla. It's just balla. It's amazing. You're going to stick that thing into a Land Raider. You're going to drive it up the board, which is an assault vehicle. You're going to pop your assault squad out, and then you're going to assault into combat, and you are going to smash some face. Isn't that right, puppy? Smash face. Smash, 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 smash. Smash, smash. I actually don't think she'd be able to smash very much face. She's so weirdo. Hello, I'm a puppy. Okay, now, with her permission, we're going to take a look at the Centurion Devastator squad. And this squad actually got a bit better. First of all, it's had a point drop from 190 to 165. And that's a pretty significant point drop. But it's not as good as it seems. And the reason why it's not as good as it seems is because the grav cannons and the grav amp are now 5 points more expensive. So that's 15 points across 3 of them if you want to do that upgrade, and now you're back to 180 points. So it really only had a 10 point cost reduction, I guess. It looks like a lot more, but I don't know. Because they raised the one weapon that you really want, which I guess is the grav cannon and the grav amp, by 5 points, they're really only lowering the points by 10, if you see what I'm going. Other than that, everything is the same, except they also added a veteran sergeant, which has 1 additional attack and 1 better leadership, so 2 attacks and leadership 9. The Omniscope can still be taken by either the sergeant or the veteran sergeant, and they did change the disseminator protocols, but they changed it in a way that makes it more confusing. So it said a model with this special rule can fire up to 2 weapons in its shooting phase, which is exactly the same as what it said before, except after that it said these weapons must still fire at the same target. Does that mean that those weapons no longer have to fire at the same target? Are they saying that this was redundant and therefore we didn't need to spell it out? I don't know. Hopefully that won't cause an argument, but overall the Centurion Devastator squad is a little bit cheaper and they have a veteran sergeant, which probably makes them a little bit more survivable. Alright, last but not least for this vehicle edition, and I know technically Centurions aren't vehicles, but they're kind of vehicles, they're really big. We are going to be taking a look at the 3 Land Raiders, and that's the Land Raider Redeemer, the Land Raider Crusader, and of course our good old-fashioned Land Raider. Now, I cannot find any major differences. In fact, I can't even find any differences. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like there should be something different. The only thing that I can find, and this is pretty darn nitpicky, is that under the Space Marine vehicle equipment list, if you go to Hunter Killer Missile and you look up the rules for Hunter Killer Missile, in the old edition the range says unlimited, and in the new edition the range says infinite. Wow, that's such a big change. Okay, but other than that, their points are the same, their equipment is the same. Well, okay, there is one other change, and again, I don't know if it matters. The Flamestorm Cannon is no longer heavy, it's now assault. Now, maybe that has something to do with the Centurions. Maybe the Centurion can have a Flamestorm Cannon, and because it's assault, they can still assault, but aren't they a relentless platform? I don't know. It doesn't make any difference for the Land Raiders. There's nothing different. They are all exactly the same. Now, that being said, they might get some major bonuses because of formations, and in our next video, we are going to be going over the formations, and then in our last 2 videos, we're going to be finishing with all of the squads that I haven't covered, which I think there's 3 or 4, like the veterans and things like that. And in the very last video, we're going to be looking at to see if there's any lore changes between the old book and the new book. So this has been Aaron with the Cool Guys Nation. See you all next time. Say bye, Sheba. Say bye. 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 Bye, everybody. Go in your box. Go in your box. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Good girl.